Hey, welcome everyone. You're tuning into The Wealthy Speaker live on LinkedIn, and I am thrilled to be back together with my good friend, Phil Gerbyshak. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, Jane, what's up? It's so good to see you again, my friend.
Well, I'm so excited. One of the things that I'm super excited to talk to you about today is your new book, which is actually the title of this episode. It's called Social Selling Essentials. And so when is this book due out? And tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So it's due out in December. My birthday is December 2nd. So
Nice.
it should be out right around then. A
All
great
right.
time to do something new and cool. And it's about the essentials that you need to social sell more effectively. I think so many people make it harder than it needs to be. So it's going to be a really short book, maybe about 100, 110 pages with it. We're going through, some edits, some writing, some rewrites, of course, right? Books don't just write themselves, sadly. But it'll be all that you need, from where do I post to how do I hack the algorithms to how do I connect with people and everything else.
Well, love it, love it, love it. Now, listen, hey, listeners, if you're tuning into us, say hello. We want to know that you are coming in to talk to us about social selling essentials, because guess what? We're all out there on all of the social media platforms. And sometimes I bet if you are anything like me, you have wondered, is anybody actually listening? Does anybody actually care about what I have to say? Phil, have you ever wondered that yourself?
Almost every time I go live, Jane, I'm like, hi, knock, knock, anybody there? Of course.
Well, that's what I always am wondering on LinkedIn Live. Now, I use Restream, and I don't know that there's any way for me to really see how many people are tuning in. So if you're out there, please pop something into the comments section and let us know that you are listening. We're tuning in live on YouTube today, Facebook, and LinkedIn Live. We're going all in on LinkedIn because Phil Gerbyshak is known as a LinkedIn strategist. So talk a little bit about your day-to-day business, Phil, and how you help people.
Sure. So I work with small businesses. I work with, solo business owners, right? The self-employed, insurance agencies, folks like that, right? Financial advisors, to really leverage the power of social. So it's a lot of times it's just LinkedIn, right? Sometimes it's more. I usually suggest LinkedIn plus one.
Yes.
Where's the plus one? It depends, right? But I do recommend dabbling a little bit, because sometimes it can be fun. Sometimes you learn new strategies, and sometimes it's just practice. So yeah, so I that's what I do, right? I coach, I train, I speak, I write, I do courses, all of that. Everything will be, revised, rebranded, repositioned, right, as social selling essentials now, because it's been kind of all over the place, right? LinkedIn was the platform, and it's still super important, still 90% of importance, but it's not it. And there's some things that we have to do, right? We have to still pick up the phone and talk to people. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't believe in just social, right? I think it's important you have a blended approach.
A blended approach. Okay, so your suggestion is LinkedIn plus one, and I really like that. And we can kind of go through them all and just talk about what's kind of happening hot right now. John Westaver is tuning in from Victoria, BC. Welcome, John. Hey, tell all your friends that we're live on LinkedIn talking about social media is selling essentials, John. We would love to have them tune in from the CAPS network. So let's just talk through all of our options, because, oh boy, I get emailed weekly, like 10 a week, that says, we have a new platform. We have something new. Will you share it with all your speakers? For speakers, there are so many options. So talk a little bit about Clubhouse. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse?
So Clubhouse is an interesting place. I've been in your show. I've been in Ramon Ray's show. I have not set up my own room. I actually think that's where the juice is. I just haven't had time to really set that up, and I probably will.
Yes.
But the thing about Clubhouse that is both wonderful as well as challenging is that it's right now, and then it's gone.
Yes.
So that's an interesting thing, right? So it's not repurposable. Not suggesting that it's not a great place to have conversations. I'm suggesting that you find a way to make that more repurposable for you, maybe you take notes. Ramon is great at that. He's really great at
Yeah.
asking people, hey, send me a keyword on Instagram, and then he sends back notes. So I think that's important to do, because we have to repurpose. Otherwise, it's just one and done. And frankly, that's not a great use of our time.
Right, right. And I think that's probably, so my little journey has been short. I participate every Wednesday in somebody else's room, and I've got to tell you, it's exposed me to an entirely new audience of people that some of them know me, but I didn't know them, and that makes me like superstars. That I'm thinking, how is it you're so you have 20, tens and tens of thousands of followers, and I don't know about you. So it feels like Clubhouse is kind of like, where have you been network? So I like that it's not all the same old people that I've seen everywhere else. Not that I don't love my regular followers. I certainly do. But so it's exposed me to that. But I haven't been doing my regular weekly show. I've put it all in on LinkedIn Live. We're doing every Thursday at noon Eastern. And I guess this is tip number one, Phil. If you're going to do something, just commit to the time frame and do it consistently, right? How important is consistency in social selling?
Well, so consistency, I think we've got two pieces of that. One is the content consistency. And I would tell you that it's great that you could do something every 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock on Tuesdays. I think that's or on Thursdays, like you are. I think that's wonderful. But I would tell you it's more important to be consistently frequent, meaning, pick a couple days a week and be consistently frequent. And then on those times that you're on, here's what I would recommend you don't do is don't hit and run, right? Don't just, okay, great, we're live, and now I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
No, take some time first before. You got to promote it, because a lot of the sale happens in promotion, especially for speakers, because they're going to see the promotion even if they don't watch the show. So it's important to promote, okay? So secondly, after the fact, for those beautiful commenters like our friend Mr. Westhaver here, we have to go back. Is that someone I want to talk to? Is that someone that I can add value to? Then I should go back, and those commenters, those likers, right? Again, speaking of consistent, go back and thank them. Go back and send them invitations. Go back and try to connect. The ABCs of social selling are always be connecting, not closing, connecting. Always be connecting. And if we can do that, we can win.
Phil, you have just given us some gold in the first 8 minutes here, because it's not that this is rocket science. We just need to be reminded. I've been doing business for 30 years. That's an awesome reminder for me to say, okay, if somebody's, been coming around, make sure you're engaging with them. Make sure that you're having some meaningful conversations with them. Thank you so much. That was really good gold right there out of the chute. Now, do you want to talk about LinkedIn profiles and what some of the things that people might be missing out on an opportunity with their LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn profiles, first, they just launched creator mode on LinkedIn, which reorders your profile, and it changes one thing that I want to tell you don't want to do. And that is, it prevents people from connecting with you by default. It has them follow you. Follow means, so follow means, Jane can get all my updates, but she doesn't ever connect with me. So she never takes the time to actually be able to converse with me. She just follows because I'm a magazine, not a person. So turn that off. And funny enough, I would bet that I am one of very few people who actually have creator mode on, but got to flip follow to connect. So if you're not connected with me, and John Westhaver, I don't think we're connected, and Julianne, I'm not sure if I am either with you. I see Julianne Cooley here. Hello. And I know I am with Crystal Thies.
Yes.
If I'm not connected with you, please let me know if you see a follow or you see a connect option, because this is the interesting thing, right? That if you have connect, you get to connect with people, and that's great. If it's follow, most people are turned off. They're like, what? Like, I thought you're an interesting person. I want to talk with you.
Yeah.
I want to always be connecting. So let's not turn that on if we're following. Let's instead make sure that connect is the default. And if connect isn't on, then turn off creator mode. It's not enough to just be there to talk at people.
Okay.
We have to be connecting. Really, really important.
Good. And Crystal says many people have been seeing that their follower counts have dropped with creator mode. So thank you for that input, Crystal. So one thing that we can do here on LinkedIn Live via Restream, and I'll give a plug for Restream. I've switched over from another streamer, and I've been really, really happy with them, is that you have paired your feed to mine, which is super duper cool. And now Crystal is coming through you to me. And that is something that could not happen before. And so, hey, do we want to share your thoughts on the platforms on NSA Magazine, Phil? Let me just go ahead. Actually, I'm going to have to build a caption for that. So let me just go ahead and put that in and add it. Oh, I need primary NSA Mag. Here we go. Add. So this is kind of how quickly you can do something to share. So this is not the easiest link. You may want to take a picture of that, screenshot, picture with your phone, and make sure that you get it right. So tell us what's in this article for follow-up.
Sure. So NSA reached out to me, the National Speaker Association, said, hey, will you talk to us about 3 of the big platforms that we're seeing a lot of questions on? Can you talk to us about Clubhouse? Can you talk to us about TikTok? And can you talk to us about Instagram? So it's all about my thoughts on the platforms you should invest in 2021. Now, would I say not LinkedIn? Of course not, but that's not a new platform. I would tell you, push your chips in, pick LinkedIn first, and then pick one of the other ones, right? It's LinkedIn and.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit. Marcia, yes, there will be recordings on all platforms. So apologies if some technical thing is not happening for you. Let's talk a little bit about TikTok because, oh my gosh, like it appears to be something that can just take someone from here to here. But honestly, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting onto TikTok. I've just thought, it's for kids. I'm not going to do it. But some of my clients have blown up on TikTok and they've gone viral and then things happen. And so tell me your thoughts on TikTok.
Sure. So TikTok is super interesting in that it is the only platform that you can easily duet with people. So while we're live here, that's great. We can do that. But now if Crystal wants to make a point, Crystal could take our video if we're on TikTok and then remix it with her thoughts side by side, which is really cool, right? So if you have clients that have questions, you can put their picture or their question here, play their 7-second question, and then remix it with you now answering the question. So it's interesting as a way to interact in different ways with that. And then original content, here's the interesting thing about TikTok. The algorithm is the smartest algorithm out there in that it recognizes your content and doesn't just use it to serve up ads, unlike Facebook and Instagram. Instead, it uses it to serve up content. So you'll start getting your content categorized if you're consistent. And if people like your content, they can certainly follow you even more. So really, really interesting way to extend a conversation, to make things go deeper, to make things more valuable for you. So really, really cool platform. Now, that being said, would I tell you that it's the only platform? Again, I can't stress this enough. No, but this could absolutely be something that you could add there. And Crystal asks, what about security?
Yes.
Well, my thoughts on security are be careful. Pay attention. Right? Pay attention to security. Every time it pops up, just pay attention to it. And to the extent that you are concerned, install it, play with it, uninstall it. Because once you and don't upload all your contacts to it, don't do all that stuff initially. Maybe one day it might be a more secure platform, but right now, just don't give it access to everything.
Okay.
That's the default, right? So we think about that, and I would say not just TikTok, but any of these platforms,
Okay.
how they make money is advertising. How do they
Mhm.
make advertising money? Because they get you to invite your friends to join you, and they hit those friends, right? So if you think about it, that's also how you grow your network. So you have to decide, what am I using this for? If it's business, well, the fact that mom's in my contacts, I might not like that. I might not. So I might recommend for speakers, perhaps you consider getting a second phone that only has business contacts in it and
Right.
just use it for TikTok. Just use it for that, because you still want to be able to invite some friends, but then don't also log into Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter, because frankly, that is how you blow your network up, right? Because you'll carry people with you from network to network. That's how this works, right? That's why early adopters, that's why they get such quick leverage, because they start showing up as, oh, my friend Crystal is connected with Jane. Oh, I should go check Jane out, right? So that's how this works. So just be aware of it. Every platform has this pretty much the same security concerns, pretty much. Some are a little bit more, but they're not, it's no better or worse than anything else.
All of the things that you're talking about, I'm assuming are going to go into this amazing new book that is coming out in December 2nd, everyone. Phil's book is called, the title of our program today, Social Selling Essentials. Check out the bit.ly link that I am sharing in the on the screen right now, and you can go and grab that book. I think you are going to want to get that. You want to be a part of Phil's network. You want to make sure that you are listening to what he is saying, because I don't know how you do it, Phil. Social media is the most tumultuous and quickly moving market. Don't you ever just want to take a nap? Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot. It's a lot
it
to keep
is.
up with all of this, right?
It is. It is a lot. And I would say to that, that's why I recommend just two networks is enough. For me, yep, I obviously, my job is just keep up on this stuff. So I keep up with it so you don't have to.
Right.
Whoever's listening, right? I mean, that's my whole thing. But for sure, like I have days where I'm like, not another stinking network. Like Fireside is like Clubhouse with a twist and all these things.
Ooh, I
So,
don't even know about Fireside. It's gonna blow my brain. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know about Fireside.
well, it's just another network, right? So any of these, what I would tell you is find somebody using them and spend time with them.
Yeah.
The best way to learn is to actually see yourself as a student of the game and pick a network, right? Fireside. Scott Monty uses it. That's all I know about Fireside. Scott, former chief social officer, brilliant guy at Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Scott is the first person that I ever saw use Fireside. So I'm like, ooh, that's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell's got some plug-in with Facebook for his newsletter. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. How can I learn from him? So for me, it's really just about, let's find people doing what I don't have time to do, and either ask them or observe what they do and see, does that make any sense? How could I leverage that for my speaking business, right? Because I'm a speaker too. Let's be clear. I'm not. I don't just write books and hang out online, right?
Yeah.
I'm a speaker too. I'm a trainer too. So I need to stay on top of it because my customers expect that I'm going to stay on top of it as a speaker, right? So the future, right? I'll tell you a quick secret. The future of sales is going to be my book for 2022, because that's where I think we're going, right? We need these essentials first, but then the future of sales is, well, we'll see. I don't know, right? So it's the future. So I'm going to make some predictions in that book. It's going to be a lot different than this first book, because this first book will be more how-to. It won't be as jazzy and sexy as here's a story, but it will be, oh, here's a way that you can actually leverage social for your business.
Almost like a checklist. Am I doing that?
That's right.
Not am I
Yeah.
doing that? Now, just like social media, we have been all over the place in this call. Let's circle back to our profile conversation.
Oh, right.
We talked, it's something, this is gold if you didn't hear it earlier, to make sure that you are, if you've gone into creator mode, that you turn off the follow feature and make sure you keep the connect feature. So that was gold in case you missed that. So let's go back to talk about like what are some other things that are important when it comes to the profile. Now, while you're teeing that up, I'm just going to close my door because I have people coming to the house here.
Sure.
So I'll just disable that. You go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. So on your profile, I want you to think of yourself as a resource instead of as a resume. What does a resource look like? Well, first you get your head on straight. You got a header graphic, got a nice headshot, and you got a nice headline. Mm-hmm. Headline is the first or second thing people see when you send them a message, when they come across your profile, when you comment on something. First or second thing. So your headline by default is your position, which means if you're a speaker, it could say speaker at, Phil Gerbyshak company. Mm-hmm. Really boring. That's the default position plus company. Instead, I want you to think of it almost like an opportunity for a mini positioning statement.
Yeah.
Who do you work with?
Yeah.
How do you help them? What outcomes might you get? And then check out maybe something personal. So I'm playing with mine. Don't use mine as an example because right now I'm trying to see if people are like, oh, will people actually pick up the phone and call if I say, ask me about social selling? And then I've got a phone number in there. Well, and that's not, and by the way, it's not working, but it's worth trying. I'm an experimenter. That's what I do. My world is a laboratory, so yours doesn't have to be, right? I'm the chemist. Yeah. So with that though, something personal. So when I am, right, I'll talk about my colorful glasses. I'll talk about the fact I love pinball. I'll talk about I love long walks on the beach with my wife and kids, stuff like that. So be a little personal and add who you serve, how you serve them, and some potential outcomes, and squish as much into that as you can. That's getting your head on. And then from there, just fill out every single piece. And a quick important tip for speakers.
Okay.
Nobody cares that you're the CEO of your one-person company, that you're the founder, that you're the president. Instead, take those positions.
Use
and
that
I share
real
this
estate wisely. Use
that's
that
right.
real estate wisely. Okay, so when people put it built all right into their name, talk about that. So I see you want to connect with me, and it says Phil Gerbyshak, 10 more words afterwards. Talk a little bit about that.
So first, for practical purposes, that's against LinkedIn's terms of service. So you could get banned.
Okay, we don't want that.
Emojis, emojis, all of that. But let's pretend that's not important. Let's pretend that I'm a risk taker. Here's the thing. For some of you, if your name is super common, then I get it. You're trying to do some differentiation. I get that.
This is Lori Smith, photographer. Okay, that's who I'm looking for, or that's not who I'm. That's really good. Okay,
right? I get that. Now, what I don't understand is people that put emojis in their name.
Okay,
I don't get that because on a screen reader, it reads it as $$ parenthesis question mark, or whatever the heck it is, right? So it does not actually read it. Like Crystal just shared some laughing emojis. That's great. We see that, but a screen reader doesn't see that. And not to mention, because I work with financial services professionals, their compliance programs turn those into number strings and symbol strings that make no sense. That then they're like, well, hey, Jane, financial advisor, professional person, what did Phil say here? And they're like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's a $, a $, an ampersand, and a period. What's that? When in reality, it's just a bunch of smiley faces. Yeah. So be careful with that. And then I would also, the emoji also, if people are using bots and automation tools, it then blanks those out, right? And Crystal says this. Crystal's got an emoji in hers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell you, just be careful, right? Be careful of that. I don't, even me, I do get probably 50 or 100 connections a week of people I don't know that I usually mark as spam.
Okay.
But even me, I don't care because I'm not going to even let them in my network. And
Let's
you only now get 100. Yeah.
Let's talk about your connection strategy. Like, we kind of look over people and we almost always agree, but I don't think I get a ton of spam. I'm not sure. And so they do what we call, Jennifer calls it, Jennifer Darling, she's a good friend of yours, also a LinkedIn specialist. And she calls it, they show up and they pitch slap me.
Yep.
And that is when people connect with you and then send you 14 paragraphs that explains what it is that they do. I completely ignore it and then move on to the next thing. So, number one, don't do that. Number two, what is your connection strategy? What is your criteria for letting somebody into your network?
So I'm going to share first my criteria for letting you in, and then I want to talk about how you can connect because I think they're very different. Okay. So who comes into my network? First, you got to be a human being. Okay. You got to be a human being. And what do I mean by that? So have a complete profile, have a picture, which means check your settings, make sure your picture setting is turned on to the public, not just to LinkedIn members. Cause I might not always be logged into LinkedIn. So I want to see that you're a person, right? And I want to make sure that you've got a real headline, that you're not screaming at me with all caps, and that you're not pitch slapping me on the connection. Okay. So that's first thing. If those pass, then I think about, can I help you or can you help me?
Yeah.
Real simple. Can I help you? Can you help me? And then I say, who else do they know that I might know? So if they're immediately human, they don't know anybody that I know, you still get my network. If they don't pitch slap me, you can still get in my network. But then I look at who we know. Now, as a speaker, I'll tell you, I bet I've got 1,000 speakers in my network.
Yes.
That's nice, right? But many of them are not very discerning in who they let in their network. And I know some of these folks. So I see, are they actually connected to a Jennifer Darling, or are they only connected to Spammy Susie, who I know will connect with anybody? Because I'll connect with my speaker friends. I want to be clear.
Right.
If you're a speaker, right? If we have something in common, I'm going to connect with you.
Right.
That's cool. But if you immediately spam me, I'm going to block you. If you try to add me to your newsletter list, because my email is public, if you're going to add me to your newsletter list, I'm going to block you.
Which also
we're not going to be friends
on a weekly basis. So a lot of people, let's give you one more thing. Don't pitch slap and don't send people unsolicited emails and add them to your newsletter. It's just not cool, people. It's just not cool.
Jane, aren't you in Canada?
I am in Canada.
Canada actually has CASL, Canadian Anti-Spam Litigation. That's like
$15,000.
Yeah, $15,000 for falsely adding someone to your newsletter list. So stop, if you're listening, stop adding Jane Atkinson to your newsletter list, because otherwise Jane and I are going to go on vacation soon because we're going to sue your pants, right? So stop that. CASL is clear. It's opt-in, not opt-out like the US.
Hey, so somebody just sent me a long list of all of these things not to do in all of these different countries. It was kind of like how to be politically correct in all of these countries. And there was something there for Canada, but I wanted to write back and say that sending an email unsolicited is a do not for it to be added to your list. So just be aware of that. If you're listening in, that is something that is no bueno. Do not send me your newsletter if I have not signed up for it myself. I haven't asked for it. I don't want it. And I will unsubscribe very, very quickly. I'm not mean about it though, Phil. And I don't call people spam because I don't want people that I know to be blacklisted. So I don't know, maybe other people are a little more harsh about it, right?
Yeah, well, it depends who they are, right? If you actually have an opt-out, I will probably opt out, but I will tell you, there's 3 or 4 speakers that we probably both know
Yes.
that continue to find ways to add me to their newsletter list, that I just continue to add them as spam. See you
Yeah.
later. And then, of course, they want to reach out, speak out at my NSA chapter, and I remind everybody that these people will never speak in front of them. So they're probably not listening to this because they're probably spamming people.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've talked about the profile. We've talked about connection requests. Did we talk about when to send out?
No, that was going to be the other half of that.
Let's do that. See, look at us. We're kind of staying on track. We're being a little social media here, like, which is really the problem. Like when you sit down to do your social media, you are literally going down 20 rabbit holes at the same time. And then you get into a video and then TikTok and forget about it. Right. So just FYI, you need to be focused. So we're going to try to be focused and follow this thought till the end. Who do we try to request connections with and how? How is the best way to do that, Phil?
Sure. So first, who, and that is typically second degree connections, which means people who know people that we know. So Jane, if you know someone that I think I might want to meet, first I would ask you, hey Jane, how well do you know Dean Hankey? That would be the first thing that I would ask, right? How well do you know Dean? And if the answer is not very well, then probably not worth my time to drop your name. But if you say really well, then when I send that connection request, I'm say, hey, Dean, I see you're connected with my friend Jane Atkinson. How do you know Jane? And just ask the simple question. So that's second degree. Now, sometimes there's people beyond that because, of course, you're not connected. I'm not connected. Nobody's connected to everybody they know.
Right.
So sometimes I'm going to send maybe beyond that, right? I might see that someone's at a company that I'm wanting to target, in which case I will spend time to really use one of the three C's, one of the three I's, of connection. The first I is in common. That could be Jane, right? That could be you, but more often we have a common interest, we have a common education, we have a common group, but we have to be specific about the in common. The worst thing, and this used to work.
Right.
The worst thing is to say, well, Jane, I see we have 317 people in common, so naturally we should connect.
Yes.
Well, no. Who? What's in common? Oh, I see you're doing here's another great one. I see you're doing good things at Digital Selling Strategies, the name of my company.
Yeah.
Really? What am I doing?
Yeah.
I haven't posted a LinkedIn in 6 years. No, right? I'm not doing good things there. Let's just be honest. I'm not. I'm lame. Right? So that's the first one. So real in common, be specific.
Yeah.
Second of the three I's, right, is insight. Insight. So Jane, I saw that you posted an article about this. Either A, I really like your insight.
Yes.
Or Jane, have you considered this in addition to insight, right? So I can add some value there in that insight. And last, and often the hardest one, is the last I, and that's interested and interesting. Interested means you ask a question. Oh, Jane, that's really interesting. I see that you've written 3 books. How was that process? Not, hey, Jane, I see you wrote 3 books. Are you interested in publishing another one? Because that's what my business does.
Right.
Or, right, the interesting is something interesting that I can share with you. Hey, by the way, Jane, I am not from Canada, but I have been to Canada 6 times, and I actually went to Toronto just last week and had pickles at this famous place. That might be interesting. Now, I use them in order of in common, insight, and interested, interesting, because the last one is a hope and a prayer. It's a hope and a prayer. It doesn't usually work, but sometimes it does, because some people are like, ooh, that's cool. You're a human being. I'm going to say yes, right? That's my rule. If you can be interesting, you can crack a stupid joke, right? If you can do something that catches my attention, I'm probably going to let you in, right? So that's where, again, in order, in common, insight, interested and interesting, just try them. Typically second degree, where I can mention you by name as a name drop. But often it's a little bit beyond that, and that's what I'm trying to connect with.
And I love that Dean Hankey documented them for us. Watch this.
Yes.
1, 2, Three. Good job, Dean. Woohoo! For anybody who missed those, thank you for doing that. I really love LinkedIn Live, and I really love that we have some people who have been hanging out with us and jotting down this gold. I want to say something before we leave this idea about when you are trying to engage with someone, commenting meaningfully on their post. Tell me what you think about that. And then I have a little story that resulted in a nice, sweet booking.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think you should add value before you add volume to people's lives.
Oh,
So
nice.
right? So a meaningful comment
Yeah.
is a meaningful exchange. Much like if pretend that you've had a speaking engagement where somebody's come up to you, and the difference between, hey, great speech, and that research that you quoted in minute 13,
Right.
I'd never heard that quoted anywhere before. Could I get a copy of that? Who do you want to spend more time with? The person who basically just gave you a high five. Now, I appreciate it. I love high fives, even a hug. Come on in, right? That's great. But that person who's got something meaningful, we're going to be friends forever. And so we start there. And we can only start there if we're actually listening to them.
Right.
So follow first, right? And then meaningful comments every single time. Add value before you add volume.
Thank you, Dean, for documenting. I don't even need to do anything over here. I love it. Thank you so much. So interesting. So Jennifer Darling had taught me that you need to comment in more than 5 words, that LinkedIn kind of likes it to be something that's meaningful, not just good job, exclamation mark.
Yay! Yeah, good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Not just a smiley face emoji. Like they really want you to truly engage. And so I have been following this strategy, I would say somewhat lightly because I've been a little bit busy this summer, but for the most part, I'm looking over and seeing what people are doing. And a speaker who I know had spoken at a network that I had spoken for several years ago. And I said, oh my gosh, those are great people. I really enjoyed speaking to them too. I get where you're coming from. Well, the leader wrote back to me on that comment and ended up booking me for next year at a very nice fee. So I want to tell you that when you engage meaningfully, because I had no outcome in my mind, I was just like, hey, I've spoken there too. It was a really cool gig, really enjoyed it. And so, and I never thought, this was another assumption you shouldn't make. She said, I'm going to be in touch. And I thought, she'll be in touch with me in 3 months when she starts planning for the next one. No. They had the meeting the next week. So don't assume that you kind of know what's going on in their world is my point with that. Okay, really quick. We're going to hang on for about another 7 minutes. If anybody would like to ask a question of expert Phil Gerbyshak about social selling essentials, any networks, he's dialed into everything, including Fireside, which I had never even heard of until this morning. Please go ahead and put your question into your comment section on whatever network you are on. We're able to show you, I'll just show you an example of this. We're able to show you that Dean is listening in on LinkedIn. And so that's part of what I love about Restream is being able to show comments from people and being able to pull them into the fun. Don't you think that this is so much fun, Phil?
Oh, yeah.
I love being able to connect with these people. I can see who's paired. That means that Phil had actually paired his networks to my networks. And so Crystal has come through, for instance, from LinkedIn, from Phil's network. Super cool. This is a great platform, you guys. If you're out on LinkedIn Live, check out Restream as an option for yourself. Would love to have any questions. We are going to wrap it up here shortly. Okay, while we're loading up some questions, Phil, is Sales Navigator worth $99 a month?
So the answer to that is, how much is your speaking fee? If it's $1,200, then yes, it is a $1 for $1 exchange if you pay for the year. If you use it. If you use it.
Okay.
So it's really important. If you're thinking about Sales Navigator, I want you to ask yourselves this. You need to really have a process dialed in where you identify, connect with, and send messages to those people that are on LinkedIn. So it might be a connection request. That's great, right? It might be, though, once we're connected, you still have to stay in touch with them. And what Sales Navigator allows you to do very easily is it's almost like a Twitter list of people. Almost like a Twitter list of people. What I mean by that is you can say, here are all my speaker meeting planners, meeting professionals in Calgary, and I can add them to this list. So I'm like, okay, Tuesdays, I'm going to prospect the Calgary folks, and I'm going to look for it. And I don't have to be connected to them. This is the brilliant part. I don't have to be connected to them, but I can have them in one list. So if they do post, I can see what they post. If I want to connect with them, I absolutely can connect with them. And if I want to, I can just listen and then pick up the phone and say, hey, Jane, I see your company is doing X, Y, or Z. How's that working for you? And just start a conversation. So really, really important. I think Sales Navigator is a great tool if you have a strategy for using it.
Beautiful. Hey, Daryl's just asking us to repeat what we said about creator mode. Daryl, that was in LinkedIn, not on TikTok. And if creator mode has come into your LinkedIn profile, you want to make sure that people can still connect with you versus follow you. The default is follow. So just check out your own profile, Daryl, and make sure that people can connect. You might have one of your friends. I can actually do it for you after we're done here. Daryl is one of my associate coaches in the Wealthy Speakers School.
Awesome.
Okay,
awesome.
So question, Phil, what tips do you have for sales pros who want to create or curate content to share consistently but aren't sure what they should post? I wanted to ask you, like, what types of posts are really effective?
Yeah. So as a sales pro myself, I'm going to just, first of all, you can certainly look at what I share. So what do I do? I ask questions. I provide insight. I answer questions. I share articles. I share videos. I create polls. All those things, right? So if you think about it, right, let's quickly flip to hacking that algorithm. Whatever you're going to share about sales, you can certainly share in a poll. So you could ask a question. What do you think about this? A or B, or C or D, because you get up to 4 choices. You could use a poll. You could take it as graphics and make a carousel. So if you go to PowerPoint and export it as a PDF, go to File, Export.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, as a PDF, you could do that. Or you could even export it as a JPG, and then it'll be images that then you can use, and then you can use it on Instagram as well. So now you've got slides in PowerPoint, or you could use Canva, right? As whatever you want, and export them. And now you can post that, right? But here's the biggest key to hacking the LinkedIn algorithm, and the biggest thing that you need to think about.
Ooh, this is gold.
Is it new? Does everybody have it? Because if it's new, LinkedIn's going to prioritize it because they want us to test it. They want us to pressure test it. They want to see if it works. Now, that might not work tomorrow. I want to be really clear. But today, if it's brand new, it's worth testing out. So, for instance, LinkedIn announced, I want to say on October 1st, that they're doing away with stories for LinkedIn company pages. Not for the personal ones, but for the company pages. Okay, but that means it didn't work. Who cares? Social media is about the right now, friends. It's not about 9 months from now. In 9 months, stories are junk. Who cares? Nobody's thinking about 9 months from now.
LinkedIn, I've never thought of LinkedIn as a place for stories anyway. That seems to be a mismatch. Like, why get into the game? It's like McDonald's selling pizza. Like, you don't need to be on stories. Let that be on Instagram. Let that be somewhere else.
Yeah, but we're testing, right? So as a human, always we're testing. Do what's new. That's the best way to hack the algorithm, and content that's helpful. Remember, the goal is not to sell, but to serve. on social.
Beautiful. Okay, final question. I'll apologize to Melissa if you missed the earlier part. We really talked a lot about creator mode. And is there any reason to keep creator mode, Phil?
Nope.
Okay, there you go. What is one of the newest emerging technologies that you think will have success?
Well, I think video is going to be the bomb. And video that you can repurpose, because I can take a video, cut it into an audio. I can take an audio, cut it into mini clips. I can take mini clips, cut them into little graphics. I can take those. I can take screenshots of that. I can turn it into text. So video, it's not new, but it absolutely will work. And which platform? Who the heck knows? I'm sure in a year from now, there'll be some platform I've never heard of before that is the hot one. Just like a year and a half ago, Clubhouse emerged out of nowhere, right? So Fireside might be it. It might not. I don't know, right? But take a look, right? So pay attention. The right now, though, I promise you, is video, and it's likely going to get more so.
And if you are a speaker, you should be seen speaking. Video is exactly what you need to be doing. I'm going to suggest do a LinkedIn Live on a regular basis so that people can see you out there communicating your ideas. With that, we're going to say, Phil Gerbyshak, blowing it up over here. Let us share the first of all, connect with Phil, connect with myself on LinkedIn. This is where we are. But if you're interested in Phil's new book, here is the bit.ly link. Take a screenshot of that right now, or grab your camera and let's put that up. Is there anything else you would like to people to do to connect with you, Phil?
Well, tell me you saw me on Jane's show.
There you go.
Talk about why we're connected, right? Talk about the wealthy speaker. Mention Jane Atkinson. Let me know, right? Because here's the thing. If you're a human being that's hearing this show and you don't want to get information about the new book and you don't want to go to bit.ly.com/Gerby new book, that's cool. You don't have to, but do connect. I'll be happy to share as much as I can with you, because really what we're here for, I believe, is not to sell, but to serve. At least that's why I'm here.
I love it. And if you are a speaker who needs some help catapulting your business, our goal is to help you add zeros to your income. So check us out at speakerlauncher.com. We have a ton of free stuff over there for you as well. Phil, thank you so much for your time. And for those of you listening in, really, really appreciate you hanging with us today on LinkedIn Live. And with that, we will say, see you soon, wealthy speakers. Bye for now, everyone.